So hello everyone and very welcome to today's introduction to the matching the Ignite Smart Cities. We will start soon and start from the beginning, addressing circular challenges, and we have our partner Naturvårdsverket in Swedish with us today, and also an inspirational story to listen to. I hope you can hear me well, and we are just getting ready here. So maybe we can have a look at the agenda to start with before talking hot stuff. So, and I have to mention to all of you who are participating and listening today that we are recording this session only for internal documentation, so to say. There will be no publishing of that. It's only for documentation, but you need to be aware of that. So today, my name is Fredrik Blomquist. I work with Ignite Sweden as business developer, and I worked a lot with the public domain. That means that we worked with municipalities, regional offices, and other non-private need owners. And I will get back to that. I will do a small introduction about Ignite Sweden and why we're doing this session today. Then we will listen to Lena Stig from Naturvårdsverket, who will tell us about circular challenges with a focus on sustainable plastic use. And we will after that listen to Filip Eklund, who is sustainability developer in Göteborg, giving us an inspirational example of how to create sustainable events. And after that, stay tuned. We'll be invited to ask questions to these intelligent people, and we will have a discussion together on how we will move on from this before the matching day takes place all this afternoon. So let's not waste any more time and step into what we're doing today. I will start with telling a little bit about Ignite Sweden. I think most of you are aware of Ignite, but anyways, here we are. Ignite Sweden is a non-profit initiative founded by some of the incubators in Sweden, which are in the lower bottom here of the picture. 5 founding incubators, but we also collaborate with more or less all incubators in Sweden, which means that we have a national presence. And because we are part of SISP, which is the Swedish Incubators and Science Parks Collaboration Society. And what we do is very much that we do need interviews with the big corporations, or as I mentioned earlier, public regions or municipalities, and getting their needs from new perspectives, new innovations out from them. And then we match those needs together with startups or scale-ups, like later today, for example, in our matching events. And we can have a look at the next page. So this is the Ignite process, which means that we work along this flowing snake from activating what needs are out there in the society at the big corporations. We kind of help of structure them a little bit and get them prioritized. And then we go out to seek and source startups and scale-ups that match those needs. And then we arrange a matching day, which is like today, where maybe you as a need owner, you can be a corporation or a public company, meet maybe 5 or 6 or 8 different startups or scale-ups. And that is, we want to bring you not only one perspective, one solution, but a few, many, and also 1 or 2 surprises all the time. So you can ask us, why did you match us with those guys? But they were brilliant. They might help us in a new way we didn't think of. That's a little bit our secret sauce. And after this matching day that we do today, for example, we encourage and try to facilitate that small pilot projects are put in place. That can be very small, in a couple of months or whatever, budget-wise, any kind of budget. And with those pilot projects, new learnings will be made that can help you as a need owner or the startup or scale-up to reflect on how you should advance of really putting these new situations in place on the market. So we from Ignite, we are supporting in that process, and then we hope that it will be a successful commercial collaboration from that. So we can have a look at the next page. And I will just throw some numbers on you. So we have done 3,890 match-made meetings so far in a couple of years, since 2017. And this has led to more or less 230 commercial collaborations. And then I don't mean the pilots I mentioned earlier. These are actual collaborations that are put in place in the market in some way. And 42% of all these meetings has led to some kind of follow-up, which means that there was an interest of collaborating in some way. So we believe it's an important thing that we do. And we started this Ignite because we saw a lack of connection between startups on one hand and the customers or partners, big corporations or public companies on the other hand. And we wanted to facilitate that process. And that is more or less what we do in one sentence. Get solution providers and need owners together and get them to collaborate in an easy way. So that brings us till what we're going to talk about today. And we have been doing these kind of matchmaking activities in many different business and sectors and industries, but we want to focus even more on sustainability and see how we can challenge sustainability. And we have discussed and done some projects with focus on circularity. And I can be quite demanding on this, and I'm not content only when we find some solution with some kind of sustainability, or just even be a bit more sustainable. We want to see how we can facilitate full circularity. But in that sense, we want to start from the beginning. Where are the global needs and who can express the global needs, the overall needs, and how can we get mobilized together from those overall needs? And that's why we today invited Naturvårdsverket and Lena Stig to give us her view on that and her perspective on what challenges and demands that are out there that we all need to face together. And to be honest, no one knows exactly how we're going to solve all these problems, but let's try it together. That is a little bit the idea here. So today we have a kind of inception of a new initiative from Ignite, which where we address circular needs even more. And we want later on this year to start working with circular matching and matching events in kind of new developed ways. So we will, as a next step after today, organize a workshop or maybe a few in September, where we address the needs that have risen up and address them together with some of you need owners and some startups and scale-ups. And I think we will mix in the different perspectives and also a few different voices from different actors in this one, and see a little bit how we can find maybe new, not only value chains, maybe value circles, which I believe is needed for this purpose, and see how we can create it on a bit of multi-level later on. But that is the next step. So today we will hear about the needs of circularity and a little bit some inspiration from Filip, and then we'll talk a little bit of how we can move on from that. But I want all of you to reflect while hearing this on, okay, what's my position in this? How can what needs do I have, or what solutions do I have? And maybe you can be a participator at the workshop that we will address in September, and we will get back to that later on. So with no further delay, Lena, addressing the need for circularity, I'm saying, what do I mean? And what do we mean by circularity and circular challenges? Maybe you can enlighten us a little bit. What do you mean?
Yes, I would like to share my screen first. See if that's, I think you have to stop sharing first. So.
You can all take a sip of coffee while we are fixing this.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but I can't find. It worked for a little while ago.
Lena, nobody's sharing, so you should be able to share now.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. It worked quite good before, so. But I can't find.
You should have the green button below.
Yeah, I find.
Yeah,
we tested this before, so.
Well, maybe Shari, if you have the presentation, if you can share it.
No, but I will be working quite soon, I think. share screen. Well,
I can, in the meantime, tell a little bit more of a background. We did a project last year with Resource, where we focused also on plastics and trying to find new solutions for circularity when it comes to both packaging and also from the care sector. And we identified quite fast in those workshops that we did that it was not good enough just to matchmake one startup or with one need owner. We need to how can we facilitate the whole value chain, or as I call it, value circle, to collaborate in new ways? And we believe that those new setups, or konstellationer in Swedish, are needed. And I think that will be a part of our work later on. But now you're good to go, I think.
You see my first picture then?
Yes.
Great. So this picture speaks for itself, a boy imagining the future. So, and I think you gave us a good introduction, Fredrik, on what there are a lot of challenges and we need to move ahead to those. And I want to tell you about why we promote this sustainable innovations and this project, and why we think it's a good idea to focus on sustainable events as the topic. And the challenges are very big, and we need to have big steps forwards. And as Fredrik mentioned, it's really about demand and supply. We think that the dialogue is very important between demand and supply to create places where they could meet and to match those that have the challenges and those that have the solution. And we also need to choose a challenge that is that has high potential. But first, before I talk about the challenges, I will talk about what sustainable plastic use means. So this is very much related to the challenges. It's about closing the loop, more recycling, more reuse, less waste, and to use plastic where plastic is the best choice when it gives value. So we need to do this also without compromising biodiversity. And we could see circular economy as a tool to minimize use of resources. And this is not only plastic, it's about water and energy as well. And smart use of resources is one thing that it's, when we talk about that, we mean that it is about lowering the environmental impact in a holistic perspective, to reduce unnecessary and also unnecessary use and useless resources. And if you look at this picture, it's quite clear that we have this, the consumption of plastic has increased enormously since its introduction, and we use very much. And single-use plastic is extra worrying because we use it for a few minutes, but it will last for ages. And this picture is from a survey that we are going to update this year. It's a survey about different plastic flows. And we use a lot of plastic, but we don't take care of it. That's a short explanation. We don't recycle and we incinerate a lot. So the challenges then, we consume a lot of single-use plastic and we are not aware of the problem and the effect, and we not always know how to behave. So lack of incentives we have, and we have lack of infrastructure as well. So we are wasting planet's resources. There are tons of littering. We have impact on climate because we incinerate too much. And harmful chemicals as well is spreading or disseminating in the nature, and both long-term and short-term effects. And this picture shows the generation goal that we have in Sweden about the future. That's our vision that I showed at the first picture is connected to that one. We have to look into the future. And then there is a circle with the national goals, and around here we have the Sustainable Development Goals. So now why we want to focus on sustainable events is that if we could tackle major challenges and involve many people, there is a great potential to create a transformation. So if we challenge, use this challenge to focus on sustainable events, we target several of these sustainable development goals, and we involve many people. And we know from a survey that motivation is quite high among consumers today. There was a recent survey made from Ramboll, who interviewed, I think, around 1,000 people, and they are motivated to change, but they don't know how. And also we know from collaboration with other authorities and other organizations that the motivation is high to make a change towards sustainability. And also when we involve all these people, we could also increase awareness easily. We get them in touch. And also there are so many different kind of events where you involve culture, food, music, sports, and also many initiatives that have already started. So we think this is a great area to work with. We have had discussions with Sustainable Procurement Agency in Sweden. They are also aware of this, and there are initiatives. For example, Vinnova has a project going on. And we also have different kind of methods to tackle these kind of challenges. One method that we have used is innovation competition. That's also a method to get bigger steps. In this innovation, we had the challenge in how do we protect, transport, and deliver food in the future in a sustainable way. So that's also one when you specify a challenge that will have impact. And we also promote other initiatives from other organizations that want to increase awareness or look at more methods. So this is 4 development projects that we have been funding, that all of them are around sustainable events. And there has also been a nudging project that about nudging strategy for reducing consumption of single-use disposable cups that we've been funding. But I will now give the word to Filip, who will talk about one of these initiatives. So I stop sharing now.
I mean, very good, because it's very interesting. Okay, so you're telling us that events can be a kind of communication vehicle or a way of sharing knowledge about circularity to all people participating. Very interesting as the method. And everyone is asking for examples, asking me all the time, where is the good example? So Filip, please enlighten us.
Yeah, I will try to share my screen here for and I think it works now, or do you see my screen?
Sustainable events, it says.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. I will super briefly just try to explain what we did. And as Lena just said, events are super useful to actually meet and affect how people think in a sustainable way. And that's what we kind of came up with, that we use the events as large scale test beds, because we know we can reach out on the events because it's a very positive arena, and it's way easier to try to do this positive kind of behavioral change on events than doing that in some other way. So I will tell you short about our project here, and we use the arena Gothenburg Culture Festival, which is a super good arena. We have a big amount of trash on it, and we have absolutely no solutions, or we had no solutions, and we were up to 1 million visitors. So we saw that were a pretty perfect arena to try this out. And as you can see, that's one of our biggest venues, Götaplatsen, where we had up to 65,000 persons. So I will just tell you a bit more about the Culture Festival. If you don't know, we had a maximum year, we had 1.7 million visitors, which is quite a big festival. And it's the largest culture festival in Scandinavia. The duration was 6 days. We had 52 venues, and the largest concert was, as I told you, 65,000 persons at once, which is pretty massive. And we also saw that we had like 37 tons of trash, which is kind of a challenge while having that in the middle of the city center, which is our arena for the festival, the city center. And we estimated that there was about 120,000 disposable plates, and you can imagine that we had forks and knives to eat with as well, and also glasses. So as you can imagine, quite a big challenge. So what we did here was that we actually thought that we had the problems, we saw the problems, so that's the ground of it. And then we realized that we needed to come up with some strategic decisions to make, which was actually to decide that to be disposable free or single use free, as we use that term today. But we also saw that we needed to start a pilot project to find solutions. But we, as I said before, we saw that there were non-solutions to be found on a lot of events. There was some examples, but not enough. So we needed to find the solutions here. And in the challenge to find a solution, we saw that the decision making was absolutely vital in order to actually come up with innovation and to strive to actually spend the time on the solutions. So just shortly, the goals of the project was to be total disposable free events from 2021, which is actually this year. We had a small abruption there with the corona, as you imagine, but we will continue with this as soon as we can. And we also decided that we should spread this model and inspire visitors, which we talked about already today. And of course, prevent disposable products in Gothenburg the whole year, not only for the events. And that's why we see it's such a perfect test arena as well. And of course, just to lower our footprint overall. And the disposable articles is not only worse because it's not circular, but it's also trash in the city, which is quite demanding. The methods we used just to be able to solve this was actually that you got the discount if you came with your own food container or your mug to the vendors, to the food trucks. And you could refill your water bottle. We had it for free, so you could refill your own bottle. We had a disposable free zone with secondhand plates and cutlery. And we had reusable beer and wine glasses and a small refund system to start with. And we saw that this, in order to be able to reach out with this, we saw a great demand, both with the communication to the food trucks and the vendors, but definitely to the visitors on the festivals, because we saw this will be super important. So we had a massive communication here, and we tried to do, the symbol of our project became the food container, and we kind of made a thing with keep cool and carry matlåda, because we saw that matlåda wasn't really that hip, but we're trying to do that a lot cooler. I think we kind of reached that. It became a great symbol for the festival, actually. And I'll just quickly show you some pictures of how it could look like. Look here in a nice plate. Here you can get a good stew, vegetarian stew on a nice plate. And here on this picture, you can see people having both food containers and plates, which is great. And this is on the free, disposable free zone. And here you can see people eating rescued food from kosor, as we say in Swedish. Great to see this. And here you can see people just drinking beer from hard plastic glasses, which were, according to the one that sold the beer, it's better for both them and for the visitors. And this is how it could look out in the one of our most busy streets, that you can see that you could pick up your plates, and we also had a dishing machine in the middle of the festival. But just quickly we saw also that all those systems, we needed something bigger just in order to solve like the bigger scale. We had like around 10 to 20% of the things solved already, but we saw a need to find out the system, like innovate a system in order to actually reach that. And the solution was this pound system, refund system, that worked with the food trucks actually served the food directly from the food container, and then you paid just a little bit extra for that. And then you could get your money back from a refund system. You downloaded the app that's now called Bower, but it was called Pantapo at this stage. So then you get your money back. So that was our system design or the innovation, if you would like to call it like that. And we also tried this on in the city. So it was kind of great. And we saw that this is a model that we think can work super well in cities, and we can see that also other events are using it. And what we thought, just to sum this up, what we see and what we realized is that once we innovated this model, and we can see that it works well in large-scale events, we can also see that we inspired other events and other actors to actually continue to innovate models, which is just great. Here you can see a great from Light My Fire, which is one of the actors that we worked with together to solve this big problem. They actually see this as a business model. Nowadays, they've come up with this recircular model, which is almost what we came up with to our festival, but now they've kind of worked even more on this, and now it works super well and been used on UEFA, the Champions League final in Sweden recently. However, it wasn't any visitors, but with all the people working on the events, and we can see how this will work super well on big arenas and big events once we can do that again. And I think, as I said in the beginning, that's super briefly, but that's all time we had today. But we see that making great decisions, that will create the will to innovate, and the innovation will come just if you have the decisions on place, because we need to solve the problems that we actually pointed out. So that's great. So yeah, I think that's it for me today.
Okay, very interesting to hear, and I like the system approach that you told us about. Because we've been talking very much about you need to design with the end goal from the start, not only design something and then think, oh, how should we handle this? We have designed, what's next step, etc. So very interesting. And if I understood you right, you set up this new refund system, which didn't exist in this context before. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. We kind of worked, thanks to Naturvårdsverket, we actually worked a lot on just trying to find out how to create that system, because there wasn't any systems on place that could actually help us to solve this. However, we haven't tested large scale yet because Corona came in the middle, but we tried it out on the city and it works well. So we are looking forward to really try it out with 30 to 40,000 people every day to just to use it. So that would be very, very interesting. But
so while setting up that, while taking that system approach, you have to create something new. You create a new system. Did that involve new partners for you that you didn't have before? Definitely,
we needed that.
Give some examples.
We saw the need to actually partner up with people that could help us with the solution. So in this case, it was both one partnership together with an actor, Light My Fire, that could provide us with the food containers because we didn't have that capacity in the city. And then also we needed to partner up with someone with technical solutions. So So together with this, both companies, Bauer and Pantapo application with the technical solution, and Light My Fire with the food containers, together with our need, they helped us to innovate this model, and that's, I think that's a super good example that we together created this circular model that will definitely come to use in so many events in the future on this year.
Good example. I think that was what my blubbering before was about, that I think you need to add several layers and be open to that. It might not only be one company that solves this. There might be needed collaboration in a new way, which didn't exist before. So
definitely,
very interesting to hear. I have a few more questions, but I'll give you two, and then I will let Lena reflect on this as well. But first, what's the next step after this? And also, how did you measure how do you measure the results from the things you do?
Was that for me? The question for me?
Yeah, it's for you.
Yeah, the measurement of the result we did so far was actually just to get in the information for all the food trucks. That's our best way to measure so far. And the pilot refund system we had, it's connected to the digital system. So once that's up and running, it will be super easy to actually get the data from that. So right now, like the next step and the next step from here would definitely be just to continue to relaunch it on all the festivals that we can. And for us, Gothenburg City, in this case, it's easy for us to help other actors to actually use this. So we have all solutions now. So now it's just trying and implementing it on as many places as we can, because the solution is already there.
I like your sharing perspective very much. But I mean, because everyone asks me, how should I measure my impact or my positive contribution or my sustainability or my circularity? What are the indicators? And so I will pass that question to you. What indicators have you chosen and why? How do you measure and what do you measure?
To me again.
Yeah. I will ask Lena later. But I mean, what indicators do you use?
Yeah,
because you want to improve sustainability or circularity?
Yeah, in the long run, we would definitely hook this up together with the trash on the city, with our colleagues from the city to measure if it's cleaner, for example, and we will measure also with all the actors on the festival, and definitely we can measure economically as well, because I think this system will generate more circular economy in the future, because the single-use plastic is just you buy in and then you throw it away, and here it's actually a business case to be made here, which I think could be one factor also in the future to measure. Yeah, sure.
Lena, what are your reflections on this project from a circularity or sustainability view?
Your project that you're going to start, the matchmaking, or you mean Filip's initiatives?
I think Filip's initiative.
No, that they are really been focusing on all the challenges, and as he described, the communication part is really important, because you get this snowball effect. There are people are networking. That is kind of the event in itself. It could be also a conference or seminar like this if we had it in real time. There's so many different ways of communicating. If there is a small conference, bigger conference, for example, I was at a conference where World Water Week that was arranged a couple of years ago, and they also had this no single plastic use, where you could fill your own water and the plates were eatable. So there was focus on food and all kind of resources. So you get this impact also if you look around, not only plastic, if you target transportation, for example, or the way people are, if you're coming into hotel business, there are a lot of areas around the actual event that you could focus on.
And if I ask both of you, I mean, taking the perspective of startups and scale-ups here, how can our guys and also corporates and public organizations accelerate circularity innovation? What are looked for? What are sought for? What do you see? What kind of areas or solutions would you like to see more perspectives and solutions within?
I think if you go from demand side, the things that we've been hearing is that it looked like I was muted, but maybe not.
Go on, please go on.
No, but because if you look in how reuse, prolong life, there are different strategies for different kind of products. And if you look at the survey and people are really motivated, but they don't know how, I think that's one of the things you should focus on. Give people tools to behave right. The nudging effect is really important to, the best choice should be default. So they don't have a choice. If there is only multiple use available or not a single use are available, that should be default. And in my opinion, most of the people that are aware of they are motivated, and if they have, it's easy to make the choice. They do it because that's, yeah, it's very easy to do it. So nudging project, like I think this could be kind of nudging when you reach out to so many people.
I see. And Filip, what do you say? What are you looking for?
I think sustainability is just a great compass here. We have in the municipalities and the Sweden and the whole public sector. I mean, we have so much that we need to make the upcoming years, and we will need solutions in every areas. And I think the global goals can be the good compass here. And for example, right now we will try to create emission-free events, for example, and that's a new pilot project from our side. And we know that we need to do that, and we know that we have a lot of goals that we need to reach, but we don't have the solution. So what will happen there is that we need to reach out to startups, to established companies, to see if any can help us to create the solutions. And that's kind of what happened also with this project. We started out, we knew what we needed to do, but we didn't have the solutions. So that's why we kind of reached out to see, is there any solution out there? So I think it's hard to say in any better way. I mean, a lot of things needs to be happening, and just look at the global goals and see and use that as a compass.
Yeah, but if we, please.
Yeah, and I think that when designing solutions, you really have to look at the before life and after life at the same time, so you get this circle.
Afterlife is good because okay, if we put you, Filip, we'll create a matchmaking solely based on your needs. What would you be looking for? Can you give us 1 or 2 or 3 examples of areas that you don't have today?
It's hard. I mean, yeah, but you mean in connection to single-use events?
You choose yourself. It's your needs.
I think the really important thing right now is to actually lower the emissions. So anyone that can help us lower the emissions when we do events, that would be definitely interesting. I mean, that could be in any area, and as we said already this today, I mean, events. We use events as test beds for finding solutions that's going on in the city. So it's not really how we can solve just the events emissions. It's how we can actually use the events as a platform for innovating solutions for the whole city for the city in whole. So
interesting.
So I think that would be for sure.
Do you want to add something, Lena, to that?
Yeah, I agree. Spin-off effects in other areas is really important, and also this about, if you look at circularity, it depends also about the functionality of the solution you have. If you want to spin the wheel slower, if you want to for long life, prolong reuse, and you also could have these, I think, small circular solutions. If you go, for example, this innovation competition that we had, where the solution was that if you produce food and you locally and take care of the food And you don't need that much transportation, and you don't need that much packaging or resources in total. So if you get many small circles of circularity is quite great.
Very interesting. Look for new circles, create new circles. They can be small, they can be bigger, but they need to be circles. So I think we will wrap up. They're very interesting to hear learning example and some perspectives. And just to address again what will happen from this. This was just the kind of inception, the inspiration and food for thoughts before the takeoff. So the takeoff we do from Ignite side is this autumn after summer. So we will talk to you, the entire Ignite universe, all our partners, incubators and corporations, public companies and so forth. And this was one example or a few examples of circular needs, but we will address your needs and see how we can maybe multi-level together new solutions in matchings later on. So we will get back to that later this year after summer. And we will soon end this session, but I wanted to say to all of you that some true action will take place today. So the Ignite Matchmaking, Ignite Smart Cities will take place and start in 3 minutes. So all of you that have meetings booked with each other, stay here on this channel. And to all the rest of you, we will end with one takeaway each from Filip and Lena. If we should have one message with us from this, what is that?
We need to work together.
You just stole mine, Lena. I would say the same. It's just we need to target the global goals and just work together to solve them. That's for sure what we need to do here.
So collaboration and be open to new partners. We look forward to that. And I thank you, both of you, Filip and Lena, for today. And I'm really looking forward to what we can achieve together, starting to work even more with circular matchings from this autumn and on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.